Welcome to Pluripod. This is a podcast all about the Apple TV show Pluribus from Vince Gilligan, and we're super excited to share the show with you. I'm joined by my co-host Victoria Givlin. I'm Matt Watterworth. We talk about every episode of the show this season, and we're super excited to share those conversations with you. Just a heads up, we get right into spoilers. There's not really any break or warning beforehand, so this is it. Make sure you're watching the episodes of the show before you're tuning into episodes of our show. And if you have any questions about our show or looking for a link of any kind, it's all going to be on pluripod.com. So thankful you join us. Let's jump right into it. We sort of end with this. What were your overall impressions of this episode? And for me, it's a bit difficult to separate the two. But where does this episode start?
It first cuts to a completely different woman.
Yes, we're in a completely different country. Right? I forgot about that. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And we're like, there's no Carol, there's no nothing. So we're going back to the them idea.
Yeah.
Or at least you think, or maybe you're like, maybe this is one of the immune people.
I forgot.
Right.
That.
And yeah, she ends up like swapping with another gentleman, and she's picking up bodies and putting them into a truck. And then she hops onto a plane and starts flying over.
Right. And
then we cut to Carol.
Yeah. Right. And there are a couple of interesting things about that. We didn't mention it last episode, but Taffler, the person who the agriculture guy, who sort of stands in for the president, who we think is the president.
We talked to like an AI bot that doesn't have any personality, just wants to support the group. Yeah.
Which is interesting because I guess they say we picked him because he was wearing a suit and he was
He'd make you most comfortable.
Right.
They thought that an authority figure, and as someone who studied agents of political violence, doctors and nurses and politicians, because of their status, you're like, okay, a person in a suit is more respectable, right?
And when someone in a leadership position has this, whatever this is,
you turn the TV on for feeling good about the general structure of the 1% and the government supporting you. So you went, yes, great, America.
Interesting. Yeah. I want to know more about that, the psychology of that. But the interesting thing that happened, Taffler says, or the others say something to the effect of, you might want to stay at home for the next couple of days, Carol, because we're going to be cleaning up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of death and
it would upset you.
Yeah, it would be upsetting. Yeah. And that's what we see at the beginning of this episode is people just cleaning up dead bodies, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the first thing.
The cleanup crew starts at the beginning.
Yeah. And then presumably the others select Zosha, who's the name of this other, to be the person they want interacting with Carol. And we find out why later. But it is a very fascinating sort of sequence of shots with no dialogue, where we're just kind of seeing the others sort of like explore or clean up I don't even know what country we're in. But Zosha gets in that airplane, like you said. And what I wanted to mention is, and I recommend anybody listen to that episode of Sad, Happy, Confused, because that performer talks about how she had to actually learn to taxi that massive airplane, that cargo.
Yes, yeah.
She did it. She didn't fly it, but she taxied it. She had to control it.
She didn't have a co-pilot or anything, right? I was thinking that when I was watching it. So I'm like, she's by herself. But when it's a hive mind, I guess you don't need the other person. But yeah, right? It's just
she's presumably got all the knowledge that anyone who would have about that specific plane, meaning maintenance history and all that stuff, but additionally all the knowledge of every pilot in the world who knows how to pilot a plane. And this brings me to a good question for you as a performer. There's something that I think a couple of actors have talked about, saying oh, I'm nervous to do this. And normally when you're playing a character who's doing something new or difficult or something you've had to learn to do to present on screen, you can use those nerves. Usually the scene makes sense for you to be nervous about what's going on, so the character's nervous about what's going on. These performers don't get that, right? They have to have perfect
certainty,
clarity, and comfort with what they're doing. And so what's your take on that as far as the actor's perspective on that?
Oh, I mean, there would just be so much research. There would be so much research, and I'd have so many questions, and I would be trying my best probably to be in Air Force simulators.
Right.
And just running the thing as many times as I could, because you saw she flicked the switch Then the one engine came on, then she flicked like she was very intentional with it.
Sure, yeah.
You have to be,
Right,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you have to, she has to know how to fly this plane.
Yeah.
So I mean, she drives the moped and she has to
Mhm.
kind of engineer the truck a little bit at the beginning. So, I mean, I think that's part of the challenge and the fun as an actor, right? To
Yeah.
have to learn these things,
Yeah, yeah.
like either in the medical field that you're getting into too, or into the legal field, like having to understand. Even like I got my gun license because I couldn't be that person that doesn't know how to hold a gun if they're asking me to be
Yeah.
a cop, right? So it's just like how fascinating that must be too, how fun that is.
Yeah, yeah.
Like having to learn about the different types of planes that she's flying and that one specifically and why they picked that one
Yeah.
would be interesting to see.
Yeah. I wonder like it always makes me wonder about like how much work Vince and the other writers have had to do like to research it. Like we were talking last episode about like, well, what would the best way to deliver this kind of agent into a population be?
Mm-hmm.
What's the most efficient way? Because presumably that's what this entity would do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why is it that plane? And like even the the way Zosha like disrobes as she like walks into the empty airport
Yeah.
and is like walking into this amazing like shower area, and there's like it's like she's got her own servants, but
Yeah.
they're all the same entity working towards the same goal.
They're trying to make her more comfortable, look better so that Carol is more comfortable when she meets her. Yeah.
It's
And like so much of it in general, like the synchronicity of the timing of all these beats that are happening while it's
like
going.
even the like handing off the helmet to like the other person who's going to take the moped away.
The
Like,
moped
all of that
person
is
drives up exactly. There's not a moment of waiting
yeah.
for anything. And the women that are helping are getting changed, like it's all
It's like
perfectly timed.
yeah, it's big and choreographed.
Yeah.
At like that long shot where we saw the person with the leg, but also like there was way more to that shot too. Like that, like they had someone with a fire extinguisher and a bus was on fire and people coming out of it.
Yes,
Helping.
I'm like, what's happened? Some people were lighting it on fire. Some people were extinguishing it out. Like I was like, wait,
Yeah.
like I can comprehend. Is that person with the leg, like, is he sentient? Is he, because we don't see him in episode 2.
Right, yeah.
At least we don't see someone jumping around with a mangled leg.
It's an interesting like reflection of the idea of wow, what if we were all able to just be so perfectly cooperative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that vehicle arrives right at the perfect time for this handoff to happen. Like it's very interesting, and like there's a part of me that's like, oh, I wish society could function this way. Right?
Well,
I
and
wish we could be
it's
this efficient.
so fascinating because Marlo and I went to Japan earlier this year, and like you kind of see a little bit of this too here in that like out in Asia, like they are so focused on respect and the collective and the community.
Right.
They are not focusing on the ego of the individual. They are focusing on the group
Common
and
good, yeah.
how you can do well for the common good and for your neighbor.
Interesting.
And how more like out west, out here, just America in general is more I focused, more me focused. So, and pros and cons to all of it. So I just thought like that was interesting and fascinating too, because in some aspects I'm like, yeah, the culture and the respect over there is incredible. There's no litter to be found anywhere, and there's garbage is nowhere to be found other than where you're eating.
That's right, yeah.
So it's just, and it's so clean. So it's very interesting.
Yeah,
just throughout all of this.
That's a good comparison, right? Because it does seem like Japan has like a really amazing, efficient, like system.
But aren't they 50 years ahead of us?
In some ways, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So it's
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what happens? Zosha arrives in the U.S. in Albuquerque, presumably.
Yeah. So Carol. They say in episode 1, let us help you if there's anything that you need. Just call us, hit 0 24/7. We'll help. Mm-hmm. And Carol is set on putting Helen, burying her by herself.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but where she is, the rock is extremely difficult to carve through. So, we meet Zosha, cleaned, ready, and approaching as a neighbor that wants to help and explaining that, she saw her from the drone 40,000 feet up.
Yeah.
And
this is the first indication for me that there's like sort of like a childlike naivete to the others,
Mm-hmm.
in that, like, if wouldn't they know that Carol would hate to know that
See
she's being
that?
spied on by a drone? Like,
Yeah.
like we would all everyone would feel violated by that
Well,
in
she
a way.
says that, but she says, like, but it's unarmed.
Right, right. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
it's totally unarmed. Yeah, yeah.
It can't hurt you.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, there is something confusing about that, and I wonder.
And sinister.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because, like, if the entity has everyone's consciousness, surely it has the consciousness of Stephen King, or like some writers who, like, know about dread and suspense,
Yes.
like things that make us upset as
Yeah.
human beings. And yet it seems to be ignoring some of those obvious things. And there are a couple other moments that I'll bring up too. But, like, this was the first time where it's like, well, yeah, duh. Nobody would want to be spied on by a drone.
But then she apologizes.
Of course, yeah.
And offers a solution,
For
right?
sure.
Like, that's a difficult tool to use, but your neighbor over there has a pickaxe, you know, and then she even does end up using the pickaxe and giving up and using it. But then she also offers her again, like, you've been doing this for 2 hours, Carol. We can tell that your temperature's elevated and that you're stressed, and, you know.
It's the opinion of every doctor on earth.
Yes,
You're
you're probably going to have a heat stroke.
Yeah.
So, and she offers her a bottle of water. And then she just dumps it out in front of her.
Yeah.
And how she's trying to explain, that was really cool too, right? Like, well, what's in the water? She's like, well, it's unopened, sort of thing. And she's explaining that, to her best of her knowledge from the hive mind, she knows when the bottle was planted.
Person who was there when that bottle was filled.
Yeah. We can assure you, nothing happened. You haven't been roofied or anything, Carol. Like,
and, like, we're starting to see some of the upsides of having a friend who happens to have awareness of every act in you know, human conscious history. And we meet a character who makes good use of it later. But there is this revelation that happens that, like, oh, you look a lot like the character that I created.
She holds the book up.
Yeah, she brings the book
Gentleman
out,
Pirate,
which is kind of weird. A weird choice, I thought, but anyway, it makes sense visually. That, but yeah, oftentimes, like, the cover of a book is not necessarily what the author had in mind. But
you mean Fabio isn't your romantic dream?
Yeah, he's on the cover a lot of us.
Just playing.
So
Gender swapped Fabio is not your romantic.
No, not for me.
No.
but I can appreciate it. And the interesting thing is, like, okay, it's sort of a naive, sort of childlike decision to be like, oh, Carol likes the look of this person. Let's approach her as that person, or as close as we can get.
I mean, it's Darwin evolution of species, right? Like, if I can recognize easier that you're my friend, then I'm more likely to get along with you. And you see later in the episode when that gentleman wants her, that she's upset.
You know what?
She's kind of made a friend.
It's true. It's very true. Know? And even there's a point where
so they weren't wrong.
You're right. And she calls the number and says at one point that pirate lady can come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's like accepting that they've chosen right.
Right. It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
She's like, you weren't, because if they had chosen wrong, they could have brought, like, George Clooney.
Right.
Right.
Oh, very, very good point. Oh, man. Whoa. I didn't even think of that. What about this?
Why not turning into George Clooney?
The potential for cameos in this show are huge.
But that wouldn't have been the correct choice for Carol.
Of course.
Because to make Carol happiest, we had to bring in this beautiful, exotic woman,
right.
You know, that was similar to her true
fantasy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's interesting.
Because Helen's no longer here.
Right.
Because the idea was that it was Helen.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so what happens next?
So the water part is really interesting. So yes, the one says that we have Helen's memories now. So we thought that this would be what you'd most enjoy.
Right.
And she's wrapping her mind around that, about the fact that, like, the love of, I'm not sure if it's the love of her life, but, like, her partner that she really cares for is now absorbed into this being. And that's an invasion of privacy, right? Because she now knows everything. Oh, yes. And then so she gets angry at Zosha And then Zosha drops again.
Oh, right.
And then she starts trying to figure out what's going on and how to make it stop. And she figures it's just her. So then she goes into town, and then there's a gentleman like hanging from the ceiling. They're all seizing, right?
Yeah.
And then she's caused a bug in the system.
Right. And this could be a huge tool. If the show goes down this route of like, wow, Carol is going to have to fight against
when she has an energetic outburst, right? That is negative.
This could be a very positive tool for her in the future if she just, later on we see that Carol's trying to lead like a group of people who are not absorbed by the others into fighting back in some way, or like I feel like this is going to be a tool in her arsenal because it's actually a huge weakness on the part of this entity.
It can't handle
being yelled at, basically. Yeah. So unfortunately, it means millions of people seem to die.
But then they fix it, and then they say, "Hey, we can help you?" Because she's dragging this body.
She's trying to control
the thing, and she lets them.
Yeah.
Right,
like,
and then
thank God. Yeah.
And she says to Zosha, "Did I do that?" And she said, "Yes, you did that."
Yeah.
And then Zosha offers she's like, "I know you may not like it," because it's the like, "I want to do this myself. I'll do it." Because Zosha then she apologizes and she takes the pickaxe and she starts doing it herself. And then she says, "We could do this faster."
Right.
And she just airdrops.
Right.
But
that is a huge moment, and a really well written moment, I think, too, because the entire time Carol is not interested in any help, support. I'm not going to give in to you. I'm not going to be part of whatever this is. Don't you dare touch my wife, my partner. There's this brilliant shot of like, we assume Helen is in this rolled up carpet, and there's this brilliant shot of just like flies sort of circling around.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, okay, well, I can understand why Carol would decide I'm going to give in to accepting some help from these people, this person, given that the body is decomposing as we speak. So I thought that was a really clever way of saying Carol's going to give in this particular case, not in all cases, but she doesn't want Helen's body to be consumed by flies. That's awful. And so okay, yes, I will give in, and we'll use some of your special abilities to bring in whatever excavating tool we might want to make this job a little faster.
It's also interesting on the symbolism side of things too, because like the dead body and like in my brain, I thought the flies were kind of symbolizing them.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're here and they're helping the ecosystem move along. This is just a natural process of life, right?
For sure. And you've been using the word hive a lot, right? Which is totally fair. There is sort of an insect sort of connection there. I think that's interesting. I wonder if we'll explore.
Even like when you see like bugs, their perspective, right? Like you often see like those hexagon views or something, and there's different multi-realities.
That's a good point.
But I feel like that's because she says like, "Are there others like me?" And Zosha does confirm that there are. But you see her kind of doing that where she's kind of going out, and I'm imagining that she's kind of going through those different little hexagon minds to try to see. And then, but that's interesting too, because she says, well, yes, there are others, but like, I need to ask their permission to meet you. They need it, like I need their consent before I can just have you meet them. But then they agree. And that's interesting too, because she says, well, of the 13, like 12, how many of them can speak English?
Right.
And she says, well, this is the distrust still, because only 6 of them can. And she says, but I can translate for you because I know all of them. And she refuses.
I would feel exactly the same way. No, you're not going to be a part of these conversations in any way.
I need some privacy somewhere. Okay.
For sure. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah.
And then she says too, like, we can introduce you to them. We can do this. But she also makes a warning that Zosha can't protect Carol from the other ones that are immune. And isn't that weird? Like if they interfere or they attack her, she can't do anything.
Yeah, that is a good point. And we haven't really seen that in action yet, but there's a lot of talk about it in this episode for sure.
It's like a weird foreshadow to but if there are only 11 people that exist left, why would we be attacking each other?
Right. Well, we find out.
Right? Yeah.
Well, and even later, Kumbas talks about how like he wants to eat animals, and
Yeah.
Zosha's like, well, we're not gonna kill animals.
We don't harm any.
Yeah, and the food you're having now is the freshest we could find, but it's like every piece of, you know, meat for food is currently going bad, and there's not going to be any more unless Kuba says, well, what if I killed the animal? Then
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, okay. Which is kind of a weird exception, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, it's true.
There's another good moment where Zosha sort of like checks out for a second, where while presumably there's conversations happening in other parts of the world to say, hey, Carol wants to meet you. I kind of didn't love this. This felt weird to me. I don't know what you think of this, but Zosha sort of like kind of like freezing while these conversations presumably happen elsewhere was kind of weird. Like it's clear that obviously this entity can perform many acts, presumably billions of actions and conversations, although not conversations necessarily, but actions without one like freezing necessarily. This seemed like weird as far as like I'm a stickler for the rules. If you've got anything science fiction or paranormal or horror, if you're going to give me rules about, you know, the zombies can only run this fast, or you know, this evil being can only, you know, become invisible at these times, I want you to stick to those rules. If you're going to set those rules, either stick to them or break them intelligently. And I found this moment a little bit odd because I don't understand why Zosha would need to like freeze.
I feel like she's freezing. I don't think Zosha's freezing because of the hive mind us. I think she's freezing because she's waiting for the response from the other humans to decide.
Yeah. But it was sort of like Carol kind of like had to be like, hello, I'm here, sort of like.
Yeah, you
like,
think, and then she responds like, I am here.
She does, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Anyway, maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'm overreacting, but
it's an interesting perspective.
Yeah,
sure. Like, why is this? You know, is that intentional? Is it not intentional? Does it mean something?
Yeah,
there's so much this whole show.
Yeah.
And it's a fair point. Like, why, if it is all powerful and all this and all that, would it glitch? Why would it need to glitch?
Yeah. So
and then she goes on the plane. They say yes.
Yeah.
She goes on the plane. And that's funny, too, because I love the comment where she's like, is the TGI Friday waitress flying the plane right now? And she's like, yeah, well, there's no reason to worry about it because, you know.
No, we don't have TGI Fridays here in Canada, as far as I know.
No.
Or at least not in Alberta.
Yeah.
And so we wouldn't necessarily know that uniform super well, but I wish we had TGI Fridays. Yeah. It sounds delicious.
He's endorsing bringing it to Canada.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is funny. And then they arrive at I forget what the airport is.
Yeah, they arrive at the airport, and then you've got a group of people, the immunes, and then you also have the members of the immune members' family.
The immunes, I like it. Yeah.
Right, like those that are okay, but then you also have like in there the husbands, the wife, the mother, the daughter, like the family members that weren't immune that are there with them. And it seems like every single one of them, other than one immune that hasn't arrived yet, are happy.
Right.
Like Carol is distraught. Carol's upset. She's like, we need to pull them away. We need to like start speaking up. We need to have this conversation. And they're all like, this is my husband.
Right.
Like, this is my, I don't understand. He's not angry anymore. Like,
and it feels a little weird. He's not angry anymore.
They're not upset anymore. My 9-year-old no longer has tantrums, no longer has any problems, goes to bed when I tell them to. Like,
yeah. This is a bit of a confusing moment for me. Like something that happens in I don't know, any show where you're sort of exploring an idea that would maybe be solved if people just sat down and spoke with each other, and they do later, and they handle it well. But in this moment, it's like, how can we not all be in agreement that this is really weird? And yeah, I mean, there are parts of me that are like, wouldn't Carol just say, like, do you not understand that they're gone? Like, and she does actually say some of that a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Well, it kind of comes back to like the criminology thing, if I may.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause
And you didn't mention that the last time. You have a
yeah,
background in it.
yeah. So I went to Carleton University for criminology and psychology with
Okay,
law.
wow, cool.
And like we learned like agents of perpetrators of violence and like just these studies of like how could these humans commit atrocious acts and like go to bed at night and be okay with it. And it was because a lot of it had to do with authority and like someone else told me to do this. Someone else gave me the permission, so it's not my fault. This doctor authority figure told me that this person would be safe, so it's not on. I pressed the button, but it was his instruction.
You're talking about the Milgram experiment,
right?
I'm
Yeah.
sort of fascinated with.
So, I mean, I feel like that's kind of what seems to be happening. Even stuff that happens like here, a lot of people like how, while there's also like the bystander effect, which is like the more people that you have to help you, the less likely you are to receive help because someone else is like, well, someone else will do it. I don't have to do it.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
personally, like I've gotten myself into trouble because I'm like, that's not going to happen. So it has to be me. And then I'm running into problems. And it's like, well, that's not, but,
I feel the same way. That's interesting that you should say that because like I feel like, wow, people don't take action. So I'm going to have to be the one to take action.
well, so we kind of feel like we're more like Carol because we're like,
Right.
how could you not be losing your mind? that
Please
this
don't
happened?
stand by and let
Right?
this happen. Yeah, yeah.
But that's kind of, we've seen that over the last few years too. And like people were reciting about how, well, what happens, agents of political violence, how do we commit atrocities to someone else? Well, first, we start saying that there is a massive problem that is causing a breakdown in society of structure. That could be economic, that could be like it could be medical, what have you.
Be wokeism as
Could be woke. Yeah.
yeah.
And then we start slowly over time, 439 days, 70 days, 50 days, we start telling people, you know, that there's a problem here. We need to solve it. We need to fix it. And they have our best interest at heart. And, you know, that's what matters. And then we start slowly like taking things away from people that don't follow the status quo.
We've seen it in history over and over.
Right? Like moving the goalposts. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is there's, during the pandemic, like here, there were a lot of, you know, violations of charters of rights for the Canadians and like just a lot of people in general that were losing, like seeing a piece of the newspaper that was like, at least I was in Ontario at the time, that was like, if you don't take the vaccine, then you don't deserve a hospital bed. It's like, well, did you smoke a cigarette or have a hamburger from McDonald's in the last ever? Like that,
for sure.
We need equality for everyone.
Well, yeah, everyone deserves to be taken care of.
You know, so it's just this interesting idea that we're running into with these people about like, how could you just be so agreeable so quickly?
Yeah.
And how could you just be okay with that? And they're like, but my loved ones aren't suffering.
Well, and that is what is interesting about Carol is she's choosing not to indulge in any of these amazing outcomes
But Carol also doesn't have any loved ones that's still attached to her anymore.
Although neither does Kumba, right? Like
yeah,
as far as we know,
that's the different idea.
Maybe he does, but they're not with him.
So Kumba is so interesting because Kumba is like the type that's going to take advantage of this happening. Like he feels like he won the Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Like he's, you know, Vince talks about, I forget where he was talking about the show, but like how this idea got he's the term porny, right? Like when you can have sort of control over over whatever you.
Well, like a Machiavellian.
Yeah, for sure.
And, I mean, it's interesting that they chose a gentleman from like India, right? Because I mean that's the traditional marriage and the stuff like that, like they don't, you know, so the fact that it's more accepted there and then he comes here and now he's just like, well, it's the whole world is my playground.
He's got his harem of women, he's got Air Force One, he's very much indulging in the offerings that the others have for him, which is, I mean, amazing. Like what like a part of me is like, I get that too. Like I would want any meal I could imagine. And yeah,
like if it's your, you know, similar to the idea of your Last Supper in jail, like if you know that the end is coming, because
that's not how he sees it though.
Like he's just like, well, you know, I can have exactly everything that I want and I might as well. And like like he's the indulgent of like he's bringing up old recipes that he couldn't make by himself anymore, or that his aunt couldn't have, like his aunt that passed away, he could make again, and like how wonderful that was. The fact that they could just bring that up. So you're seeing points of like, but wouldn't you want that? Like if I could have my grandmother's recipe and she's not here anymore, if I could have it exactly how she make it, wouldn't I want that again?
Right, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And like the harem of woman is interesting, and that's funny because she's like, you know, he approaches her, Zosha, and he's like, but I've been chatting with Zosha and I see how upset she is, and I'm learning more about her, and you didn't even bother to meet her name.
Right.
You know, and then has her evaluate the square root, right? And so she can evaluate the square root of being able to do that. And she's like, well, you have to make the decision about whether or not you would I need your permission to leave you and go with him. And she's like, well, make up your own mind, because if you can figure out this answer, then you can have your own result. And she says, but either way, my choice would be upsetting you, and I can't upset you.
Yeah.
So
this is another area that I want to know a lot more about when it comes to the others, is because like there's it has this code, right, about not killing animals and like not upsetting Carol if possible, but then it's also done so many horrible things, not that it perceives them that way.
Like when Carol asks when they get on the airplane, and she gets what she wants because that gentleman comes in with the plane, and then she says, all of them get out of here, leave.
Yeah.
And then she also turns the communications off, and she's like, of course. And she doesn't, you know, like that.
Yeah.
So...
But there's in the back of my mind, I don't know about you, but in the back of my mind, I'm concerned that it's actually already like mic'd to the room.
She's in the air, like, or whatever it might be, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. Like I there's a part of me that I think basically this can go one of two ways. It's like this thing is evil, but it's these naive childlike moments that make me think, okay, no. And there's another one at the dinner table after they get off Air Force One. You were talking about Lakshmi and her son,
and how her grandfather passed away when she was upset.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
And she's like, well, we killed one. Right. So she's like, because Carol didn't know initially how many people had died in the first place from when they first arrived.
Yeah.
And then she told her because she was pushing her on it.
Yeah.
And then she kind of had like her power back again. And then Lakshmi was like, you killed 11 million people with your outburst.
Yeah.
Like, and one of them was your grandfather.
Right.
Like her grandfather.
Was her grandfather already gone? Right.
We have no idea.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, by that I mean, like, was her grandfather already gone by virtue of being part of the others, or
is she lying, or is she? Yeah,
that could be too. But I mean, like, she's obviously okay with her family members being part of the others.
Yeah.
But that moment where Carol asks, like, you know, if you're doing a gynecological exam.
Oh my goodness, yeah, where she asks because she's accepted. Yeah. And then she asked a 9-year-old a question that a 9-year-old should never know.
Such a great way.
And then Lakshmi's upset.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But to me, like, that's a pretty obvious play on Carol's part to make the others look bad, and make the people who are not, you know, part of the entity, what do you call them, the immune?
Yeah,
that's probably a good name for it, because that's exactly what it is. They must have some kind of immunity, which happens, right, with any kind of disease. Randomly, some people are immune for whatever reason genetically. But yeah, like, showing her that her son is not her son anymore was not something she wanted to see, and just made the others look bad. Again, it's like it's such a like an objective and like innocent thing to do, right? Which makes me think that this entity is not evil. Anyway, I'm going to struggle with this all season, I'm sure.
You and I both, because I mean, a lot of the struggle is like, it's almost Machiavellian in itself, in that it's like, it gives you this child, like, I'm so sorry, we didn't mean to do that, but right. Like, then why? But you still did it. Yeah. Like, but you're still.
And why are you okay with how many people died at do you remember that number? Like, during the first transition, I wanted to say they said it was like 1 billion.
It was like hundreds of millions
Hundreds
of
of
people.
millions? Yeah.
It was, I think it was like 836 million or something.
Yeah.
Like, it was an absurd.
Yeah. Why is it okay with that, but not okay with, like, say, killing a cow for Kumbe?
Yeah, well, she says, like, yeah, you're not okay with killing the animal, but we just killed. But it's kind of the idea of like, but we only did it once.
Right, yeah. Well, and you talked,
And-
and they did talk about how it had to happen faster.
It had to happen fast.
That's not a good enough reason for me, though.
Why was it faster?
Yeah, and-
Why did it need to be faster?
Right, and sure, I get it. Okay, the military discovered you, but it doesn't mean that you couldn't just contain that issue, right? Like, why did the entire world have to be so quickly converted? And obviously at the expense.
And we
of
never
others?
saw how the military contained it.
It's gonna be confusing. Like, I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't know how Vince is gonna do that. Like, he's got to, like, it's gonna be a tough. If it's not like this reveal that, like, yeah, we're just evil and we're just taking over the planet and we're prepping the Earth for the aliens to arrive and take all the resources or whatever it might be. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how Vince is gonna make that work without it being evil. I'm very curious about more episodes.
I'm fascinated. Like how they're at their dinner table and they explain that there's, like, Zosha's explaining how there's no racism, there's no theft, all dogs are off of chains, there's peace, and then that one woman comments about how she didn't want to lose her dog.
Right.
And that was the most upsetting part.
Right. Yeah.
Not that her family had, like, changed or anything, but, like, that her dog was free.
It is a little
Where
frustrating.
did the dogs go?
Yeah, where did the dogs go? And where did the...
Is there a hive mind with dogs?
And the zoos are, like, are all the animals just roaming free?
No, because, well, that's what she was saying.
Yes.
She was upset about the fact that she lived near the zoo.
Right.
And now the animals are free.
So is that all the animals are just... And is that a good thing? Or, like,
Are we having a Noah's Ark moment? Like, are all the animals, like, coming together?
I just
like...
listened to this amazing podcast. I think it's on Serial, about the whale that played Willie in Free Willy.
Okay.
That that journey is, like, insane. You can't just release an animal back like that and back into the water because it doesn't have the
can't
skills
survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so are the animals part of the others yet? Like is that how that's working? We don't know, like, because the rat was, right?
Yeah.
So we know animals could be. Or are they just, I don't know. So many questions. So many more things we need to know.
And even, like, that brought a good point, too. My brain just jumped to, like, humans in general. Like, well, if we saved this whale and brought it in and took care of it and put it in captivity and now we had to perform for us, we can't. It's the greater good again. We can't let it out. It's going to die. Well, it's kind of how they're feeling with Carol. Like, we can't,
right.
You know, we're just taking care of you.
We've got to consume you.
Help you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be happy, Carol? You're miserable.
Yeah. So then the show takes a bit of a turn for me because Carol kind of storms off, causes another one of the freezing moments, right?
Yeah.
Which is
my understanding is she has a drink at the dinner table. She trips. She slips.
Yeah.
And then Zosha goes to help her.
And she's like, get off me.
Did Zosha fall on her or something? Like, she seemed upset and then she tripped on her and then she was trying to push her off and her pushing her off caused the big episode.
And like Lakshmi's son is like seizing
everyone.
It's
everyone's others.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then Carol like is a pariah because of this, right? Like it's of course a horrible moment for everyone. And probably she killed another. I shouldn't put it this way. She's not the one doing this. But anyway, probably a lot more people died.
But that's what they want you to think, is that her outbursts are causing
her fault.
Right?
Yeah.
It's your fault.
Yeah. What if you don't take over the human race? Maybe that's the weird.
It's interesting because they have no accountability or very little accountability about saying how many people that they hurt in order to make this happen.
Right.
But now Carol's hurting them, and isn't that terrible?
Yeah. Well, for sure. But like the woman playing Zosha, I'm forgetting her name. She's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Does such a good job of like sort of tiptoeing around that and being like, oh, a few people died, but it's no big deal.
Well, because she said, well, how many people did I hurt this time? And she's like, she's trying to bring her a drink of something that would have comforted her, because she's like, well, I know that you really like that bottle and I'm just bringing it over, that you enjoyed, like, I don't know how many years ago. And she's trying to comfort her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, but even on the psychology side of things, like when you're trying to, what's that book? win friends and influence people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you want to give them all their needs. You want to make sure that all their needs are met because she does want to win Carol over.
Right. Which, again, makes me nervous. Like, why are we trying to influence Carol?
Carol's starting to move over for some things.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here's the big change that happens for me. Because I'm very interested and curious about, like, how do the logistics of this all work? And, like, what cool doors could we open up? Air Force One is a great example of, like, and I love the Kumbe character because we're getting to see more of that through him. But then it shifts, and you already talked a little bit about it, about how Zosha is like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with Kumba.
Yeah, because Carol's been out. Whatever her outburst was, it caused her to be out for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Kumba's spent, all the other immune people are upset with her and they're gone.
Yeah.
And the only person that stayed is Kumba, which is interesting because now you're learning a little bit more about, is Kumba only doing that because he wants Zosha? Or is he doing that because he actually might agree in some aspect to Carol?
Yeah, and so there's this great but really long scene, and not long in a bad way, but it's kind of the final dialogue scene of the episode where they're all kind of discussing, like, to me, they're sort of discussing love, right? Like they're discussing, like,
yeah, because she asked Zosha, did I ask you to do anything you didn't want to do?
Right, yeah.
Have I made you uncomfortable? And Zosha's refuses. She's like, no.
Right.
I want to make you this way. I want to make you happy.
But Kumba is maybe falling in love with Zosha, even though Zosha is part of a hive mind. So that's confusing. But obviously she decides she's going to go with him. Carol decides it's okay with her or doesn't give a shit about it.
Until the very end where she decides it does matter.
And there's an amazing shot of her, like, stopping Air Force One on the plane.
Yeah.
So
how cool that would have been to stand there.
And a part of no doubt, yeah. A part of that makes me not, maybe worried is the wrong thing, but, like, I'm very curious about where the show's going to go. And I'm wondering if it's going to take us into this, like, relationships conversation as opposed to some of the stuff that interests me a little bit more, which is like, is Carol going to fight for humanity? I don't think that's going to be this show. I don't think the show is going to be Carol, like, learning to defeat the others, and like rescue people. Like, that's something I'm curious about. Can anyone be removed from the others? Like, is that
can you get it out? Can you get a DNA sequence away? Yeah.
But I kind of wonder if that's just not a route it's going to take. Like, because like I said before, this idea having happened before, although Rick and Morty kind of did it too, this idea that, like, no, this isn't an alien invasion. It's just a benevolent force, and you can join it or not. And we're not gonna give you a show about, like, some kind of, like, fighting against the others. We're gonna give you a show about love and relationships in this context, which is fascinating too. I'm super interested in that, but there's a part of me that wants, like, action and, like, like alien battles. Like, I want aliens to show up and be like, yeah, we were prepping the planet for. So I don't know. It could go anywhere at this point. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's true. I have no idea where it's gonna go either, because I mean, she just turned around and decided that she did want Zosha.
Right.
So you're entering into the element of, like, okay, here's a relationship that she does care about, that she's starting to care about.
Although, is that what's happening there? Because to be honest with you, it's the female perspective on that has changed my opinion about it. Women who've seen it have told me they read that as, like, no, Carol doesn't want to lose Zosha in that moment. For me, it was more like Carol doesn't want to lose any ounce of humanity that she can actually still connect with. That was my first viewing of it. It's more like, okay, every immune person has left. I actually want to hang out with Kumba and be with the only other human being who's an individual.
Okay.
But I think I'm wrong about that read of it overall, because you're not the only one who's been like, no, this is sort of a love story happening between the two of them. Maybe the beginning of it. Not saying you're saying that, but it's definitely about the relationship between Zosha and Carol, and, like, are you taking that away from me? I don't know. I'm so curious to know what even the first 10 minutes of the next episode are going to be, because I think it'll tell us more about where they're going.
Well, it's true, because it's like, is Carol, like, is it the familiarity that she doesn't want to lose Zosha for?
Right.
Or is it the fact that, like, you're right, like, this gentleman was actually, like, even if they didn't agree, he had a real conversation with her. And no one else was willing to do that.
Right.
Whether they didn't have the capacity or they just didn't care.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, I mean, if you're on the whole planet and there's 6 people and 5 of them don't like you whatsoever, and there's only one that even you don't agree with at all, yeah, there could be some companionship there too. Like, or can they? And she asked, like, the group at the table, like, does anybody know science? Does anybody?
Right.
And,
Yes. Yeah. We kind of skipped over that.
Anything at all? And they all said no.
Yeah. She even says, like, we've seen this movie. I've seen this movie before. We know what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe code. And Vince wrote that episode as well. Like, is that Vince telegraphing to us that it's like, this is not that movie.
Yeah.
This is something else entirely. And so I think this episode was all it's possible that this episode is all I'm going to get in the vein of, like, I want Carol to fight against this. And the show might leave me behind on that and be like, no, this is going to be a show about a few people who are individuals and how they interact with, and what does love mean in that incarnation of it with a being that exists and knows all of human consciousness. I'm very curious, because I think this will be a big turning point to know where the show's going for the rest of the season.
Well, it says even, like, what's been lost, when they turn, like, that discussion between most of them that said, like, when they turn us to them, that's what I want. I won't be unique. I'll be sharing my experience.
Yeah. I forgot about
and
that.
That's an interesting, like, but then everyone would actually understand how I really feel, you know? Oh, and that was interesting too, that every single person on that plane that was immune asked the others what it was like to join the others, and Carol didn't.
And they tagged Carol for that.
Carol was the only one that didn't do that.
But how do you feel about it? Like if you were in Carol's shoes, which is what we're being asked of, Carol is the audience surrogate.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm with Carol on the idea of, like, this is horrible. Please, you've taken every individual out of, like, this is awful. This is an alien invasion of some kind. But she's made to feel like wrong for feeling that way. How would you feel about it? Like, did you feel Carol is like, Carol, why aren't you more curious about what this?
No, I think I would feel more like Carol too.
Me too.
Like, what? It's a terrible form I see, like, and maybe people say the word too much, but, like, it feels to me like emotional gaslighting. Like, what do you mean? This is perfect. Like, back to the Kool-Aid reference, like, why aren't you doing it with me? And but we're all gonna have a grand old time. And Carol makes that reference, like, just because I know a drug dealer doesn't mean I'm asking him about his heroin.
Right.
Like, I don't need that fix. Thanks very much. But,
and like, to that end, like, Kumba is so, like, he's like, he's got such a great voice too, and he's like, he says something about how there's no I don't know, crime, and, like, he's like, what, like, isn't this a good thing? But no, like, if you're gonna be a part of it, don't you feel like you're gonna lose the things you're enjoying about it? Like, if you get to fly around in Air Force One and wear cool clothes and have a harem of women, you're gonna lose all of that when you become part of this thing. So why are you a fan of it? I don't know.
My question too is, like, they've done all this, once they're done the cleanup, right, and all those that have passed away are gone, if you are not directly involved with the immune people trying to turn them, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah.
Like, do you have to eat anymore? Like, do you still have to live a human existence to keep the body going? Or, like, is the body just it doesn't need it anymore?
What are they doing with all the bodies? Is it, are they harvesting? Like, it's so, like, I hope I'm not overly interested in the whole good or evil part of it. And I might be. I think next episode might be like, no, man, we're just,
I think that's what they want us to do, is they want us to just keep spinning on it.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm excited to see the next episode in a big way. I tried to find out what that episode title is. I don't think we know that yet. But what we forgot to do last episode was promote ourselves. Not that, in case you're not already sick of hearing us talk, I'd love to hear about, like, where can people find more about you, and what are you up to? Anything that people should know about?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, so you can find me on Instagram, VII Givlin, Givlin, so V Givlin, or Victoria Givlin on Facebook or LinkedIn, or YouTube, as the artists do.
Mm-hmm.
But or you can find my production company, Ascent Stories, on Instagram too, or ascentstories.com. So just depends. What am I doing right now? I just finished a production that I was a creative director on, because I really love Community. So I had this idea, and that's kind of the fun thing that we're doing too, is like not wondering why we have these ideas, but just doing it and see what community we can have that jumps on board. So I did a zodiac calendar. So I had 12 models. Each were the sun sign of that zodiac, and they were perfect for their signs. So we're wrapping up the calendar. That will be for sale pretty soon. And we will have some proceeds going to the non-for-profit Reset, which helps women that have been trafficked to restart their life with education, counseling, and housing.
Oh, amazing.
And they don't separate them from their child.
Wow.
So we get to keep them. The child doesn't go in the foster care system.
Wow. Cool.
Which is amazing.
That's great.
Mike and I are always looking to help produce other films. So if people have the script, we're always happy to take a look at that. He's connected in either like helping support, like putting a pitch deck and making it into something larger, or if you're more of an indie and you want to hold the control, then making it more into an indie film, which is good too. But yeah, we've got our Christmas party coming up, December 5th, with panelists partnering with a local college here.
Cool.
So that'll be fun. Meet and greet some of the networking individuals there. And yeah, I mean, I'm writing a few things too. I mean, I feel like all of us tend to do that a little bit. We want to have our stories. I wrote and directed and produced an ACTRA AIP last year called Before I Go.
Cool.
So now...
Oh, yeah, I want to see that, yeah.
Yeah, so I do have it on YouTube now. You can
it's out?
look.
Okay, cool.
It is out. I have learned so much. It was a lot of fun. I didn't put it too much in the film festival circuit because now I've made a couple films after and I see where some critical errors are.
We're always learning.
Right? So you can take a look there. That movie is a prequel inspiration to P.S. I Love You. So a gentleman gets a terminal illness the day that he's going to propose to what he'd like to be his wife. So he decides not to tell her, and how does he handle that? So I'm currently writing a web series.
Cool.
About, it's actually inspired, some things happened in our lives that I'm like, this has to be written down, like this has to be something. So I'm inspired to write 2 narratives, so kind of like the show This Is Us. Have you seen that show?
Sure, yeah.
Makes me cry like a big fat baby. So I want to make I've got the outline of the first 3 episodes, and we're going to make a 6-episode arc for the first season about, we're going to follow 2 narratives. One is a gentleman in his 70s who just lost his wife of 53 years, and like very drama coded, like how does he find himself, how does like a coming of age story but in your 70s sort of thing. And then we're also going to follow sort of my story arc, which is like more rom-com Hallmarky style. So it'll be like the bridal stylist that was never the bride, and the jeweler that was never the groom, and like these sorts of things. And we're gonna narrate a bit between like different generations and finding love at older ages and stuff like that. So
cool.
Yeah, that's working on that, but always love collaborating. So if there's anything I can do to support, I love it. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. Yeah.
And what are you working on right now?
Yeah, I mean, people can find me Instagram's probably the best place. Matt Watterworth. It's WATTERWORTH. And I'm doing stuff. I'm getting ready to go back to teaching in January.
That's super cool. The podcasting.
Yeah,
here we are.
Yes. If you need a podcast, come shoot it here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've got this this project I'm working on called Games of Chance, which is like my attempt at like my own IP, like my own Batman or my own like a big story.
We're about creating our own IP.
Trying, yeah, exactly, yeah. So
what's happening in this chance world?
Oh, I don't know if I'm ready to share it, but we'll keep you posted.
Okay.
So yeah, follow me on Instagram, and yeah, follow us on whatever social media platform.
We'll put something together.
Yeah, Pluripod has.
Pluripod. Yeah.
And thanks for joining us.
Thanks again. Yeah, and let us know where you think it's gonna go.
Yes.
Are they inherently good? Are they inherently bad?
Yeah.
Is Carol gonna side, like, was she running after Zosha because she does care a little bit and feel some humanity with Zosha, or is she running after the gentleman?
Right.
And she wants to stay and hang out and chat with him. Like, is she gonna go on the plane with them? Like, where is she gonna go?
I mean,
because he's going to Vegas.
Right, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah,
so,
it's an effective show if we're thinking about it and looking forward to the next episode.
And what would we be doing if this was
right
us? Right.
That's just it, right? And so we'll see what Carol decides.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks, Victoria.
Thanks, Matt.
See ya.